Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the Final Fantasy XIII 2 walkthrough. Alright, so the last video there we spoke with Hope a ton here in the Yashis Massif. Hopefully I'm not butchering that too badly. But it looks like I'm going to answer the final live trigger here. Yes.
Here. This must be the gate Hope was talking about.
Maybe. Yeah? What?
There's something on your mind.
Yeah, well, sure, but it's just personal stuff.
Okay, so this is the final live trigger for the area. It says Noel seems troubled about something. He says it's personal and how should I respond? And you use the option bothered by the
It's the
Moogle.
Moogle. He really bothers you, huh?
Is it that obvious? I look at his strange little face and I can't help but worry. I mean, what now?
His face isn't strange. It's totally cute.
Totally cute. I'd go for unique.
You shouldn't make fun of me, Kupo.
Poo-poo? Something had been bothering Noel. And it had been ever since we heard the story about the Padre Cirrus Yule. But, of course, he wasn't the only one who was troubled. Was it really lightning I saw in the flickering images of the prophecy? The only way to find out is to go through this portal and solve the paradox.
Alright, so that is our reward for enough funny choices. And that was the white chocobo chick. And we have now unlocked
a land
Erba.
that bears the scars of
I think this
ancient
is, yeah,
war,
200 AF.
where flakes of crystal gather and shift like sand in the desert. The Academy has restricted access to this place because it is the homeland of the two heroines who turned to crystal and held Cocoon safe in the sky. It is a land that now, 200 years later, has been swallowed into a rift between time and space.
Alright, I do feel like I should mention, being that we're leaving, the area in the open with where the behemoth is at, if you're actually able to take the behemoth down, it's actually a pretty decent area to farm CP, as well as, I think there's he'll give you potent materials as well. I don't remember which one right off the top of my head, if it's the grade 2 or if it's the grade 3. I'm kind of leaning towards grade 3. But again, don't quote me on that. I don't actually remember which one of the two it is.
What's happening? The world is falling apart.
Is this a future where everything has been destroyed? Or is it a distant past before the world has even come into being?
Space-time has doubled and twisted on itself. The past and future are tangled together as one, Kupo.
The paradox is affecting space-time itself.
Right. And we have to find out what's causing this. Okay.
Whoever it was that created the paradoxes, did they really want an empty, dead world?
In a world abandoned by the fal'Cie, the ones who are left behind craved nothingness, an empty world.
Where did you hear that?
It's just an old fairy tale.
Alright. So here we are in Erba. Basically, what you want to do is turn around right away and reveal this artifact here. Moogle Hunt. That gives you the giant egg fragment as well as the amazing 300 CP. And then we'll continue on here to what looks looks like a paradox. Yeah, so you actually have to use a Moogle hunt to reveal this. Which should be obvious from the glowing bauble on Mog's head.
It's like a maze. A crossroads within the paradox itself.
In this space-time, the past and future intersect. I bet if we solve all these puzzles, we could dissolve the current paradox.
Now you're thinking, Kupo.
Okay, so this is the next, I guess, type of puzzle. It's the Temporal Rift Crystal Bonds. This one I think I think it's the easiest, I'll be honest. Basically what happens is, it looks like these little shapes here, well, they tried to make them look like the monsters. I don't know how, they did an okay job, I guess. But basically what you want to do is you want to get pairs of these. I mean, they're color-coded, so it's fairly easy, unless you're colorblind, which, I mean, at that, if you are, good luck. It's going to be really difficult. But otherwise, these are, like I said, they're pretty easy. The trick that I've learned with these is to always be grabbing one, even if you don't intend to complete, you know, or to connect it, or even if you're even able to. Just always have one connected. That way, they won't just disappear on you, like on the route to grabbing one that you actually want. It'll be more obvious as we go. That's what I'm doing, but that is the general trick that I learned. Otherwise, you know, during certain time intervals, they'll switch colors on you, and it can actually get pretty frustrating. So, again, if you use that trick, you'll do just fine. Like I said, so you know, there's a couple seconds there, and then what'll happen is actually the colors will swap on you. So again, it can get a little bit frustrating if you're trying to run really, really far for one, and then it changes right in front of your face. So again, always be grabbing onto one. Basically, once you've grabbed onto one, they won't switch like that on you. So it'll just stay. You know, or the colors will remain whatever they are at that particular time. So, all right. Anyways, here we've got our first power wristband. So it's our first strength boosting accessory. I think it boosts strength by 10%. I actually really like these, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit more later. But
doesn't look like we can get through.
Okay, yeah, that's not a paradox spot, so I'll have to.
Not even a ripple.
Have to continue on here.
Time to try another area?
Anyways, so now that we've uncovered them for the first time, or basically obtained one, those will actually be available in the Chocolina shop. So I don't know if they're like available immediately, or if we have to wait a little bit. But and I actually kind of wish I would have, you know, just kind of left this area and then gone and visited her shop. I really like the shop on the Archild Step. That one seems to have kind of everything. So, you know, I think that's kind of my go-to for the Chocolina shop anyway. And I know they do. The power wristbands will appear here soon. I just don't know exactly if it's like, I don't know if it's immediately when you get it out of that treasure sphere for the first time, or if it's later. But again, those will be available now. So I actually really like to use 3 of them, and by doing that, you'll get the Vampiric Strike plus 3%. So basically, 3% of the damage that you deal, you'll absorb as HP, which is pretty cool. So it's great for Noel specifically. I suppose if you're going like a strength route or something with Sarah, you could do that too. But Obviously, that's not the build that I went with for this playthrough. The other item that's really interesting here that we're going to grab is it's the Magistral
You deserve a treat!
Crest. That's what it's called. We're about to get it, so hopefully I haven't.
You deserve a treat!
I didn't completely wrong. But basically, it's the magic version of the power wristband. So that'll give you a 10% match increase. So that, and obviously that will be really good for Sarah. And I'll actually end up probably equipping 3 of those for quite a while. Now, keep in mind, I do have my accessory limit maxed out, which is 100. So if you don't have that quite yet, obviously you won't be able to use as many. So if you've still only got the basic, what do you start with? Is it 40? I think it's 40. Yeah. So you'll only actually be able to equip one of them. Yeah, it's 40 and then 20, 20, 10. Yeah, so again, if you've unlocked those accessory boosts, you'll be able to equip more. And I actually okay, cool. Anyways, the bonus, the synthesized bonus for using 3 of those magistral. I'm gonna have to say what that actually is. I'm gonna say magistral crest. Anyway, I think having 3 of them gives you a bonus to buff durations. I actually don't really find that that synthesized ability is all that great in this in Final Fantasy 13 too. I feel like some of those abilities were better in the original 13, but anyways, I could
Step right up, folks. You want something? You
maybe
know
it's
I
better
got
than
it.
I really think. But alright, anyways, what do we have here? I'm just kind of cruising through and seeing if there's any weapons I can buy yet. Doesn't look like that's the case. Yeah, so I see the delicate power wristband as well as the durable version there in that shop, but I didn't
I
do
have
a
to say,
good
you
enough
have a
job,
really
I think,
good
of
eye.
looking to see if she had the regular version, so my bad on that. But anyways, alright, we've got our next temporal distortion here. Alright, so if I remember right, we had to unravel or reveal that one as well with the Moogle Hunt. And I think this will be the same. Yeah, this is the same as the last puzzle. So if you'll notice here, I'll try to show you the trick I was talking about. So we're basically starting right on top of the crystal, so I'll try to grab this one. Or not. Yeah, there. I tried to run too far, and I didn't have one of them grabbed, so it basically disappeared right in front of my face, and the color changed. So that was what I was trying to warn you against. And there it just happened again, which is again why you always want to be grabbing onto one, basically. Like, get into the habit of grabbing whatever one is nearest you, and then figure out what ones you actually want to try to go for and connect. And again, you know, have one grabbed, and then once you're on top of the one that you actually want to or intend on connecting with something else, then you let go of it, and then, you know, grab onto the new crystal. So again, you'll get the hang of it. It probably sounds more complicated than it really is, but once you get the hang of this, yeah, see, I've got a line connected in, and one grabbed, and then when I'm actually ready to go for one, then I try to, you know, always have one. Basically, always have one in your hand, if that makes sense. There we go. So that's that. I think in this whole, now granted, I kind of learned this trick on one of my previous playthroughs, but of all of these type of puzzles, I only had to redo I think I had to redo 2 of them the whole game, and there's a ton of these. I don't know if there's one for every single monster, but something kind of tells me that there is. I kind of feel like they kind of intended to do that. So or at least one of every enemy type. Maybe I should say that. So like for the goblin, there's probably a goblin, and actually there might be one for the goblin chieftain as well.
No problem.
I'm not sure. Anyways,
Hey, we did it.
there's a ton of them. So get used to doing these puzzles. So back here, I believe, is the Magistral Crest. Oh, Magician's Mark. Wow, I was way off on that item name. Okay. Magician's Mark, and that makes it a lot easier to say. So again, that's the magic version of the the Power Wristband. And eventually I will equip Sarah with... I had 3 of them on her for a very long time. Which, is then a 30% magic increase, which is pretty nice. Alright, so there's our treasure sphere. I'm trying to do a good job of uncovering the map as we go, too. Sometimes I didn't do a very good job, and sometimes I did, but that's generally the idea here. There's some fragments later on in the game that you get by having each map completely explored. Now, more times than not, there's going to be, there's multiple versions of each area, and oftentimes you won't be able to fully explore an area until you've unlocked all the versions of it. Now, there are some, exceptions. One of them being the Archout Step. Obviously, it's gigantic, and there's only one version of it, but
Another head scratcher.
it does require chocobos to be unlocked in order to get 100% exploration for that map. But again, that's probably something that we don't need to worry about quite right now. But all right, so we're back to the puzzles. This one might be the last set, if I'm remembering this area correctly. Which, thank God. I actually really dislike these puzzles. I think these ones were the lamest ones of the puzzle mini games, if that's what you want to call them. There's this one, and then there's the one that we did before in the Brescia Ruins, where you have to walk across the tiles and kind of collect the crystals as you go. I think those ones were infinitely more fun than these connect the whatever shapes and colors. And then the clocks, and actually I think the clocks are actually the best. I don't know if we've come across one of those yet, but boy, when we do, it is gonna be fun. They're either fun or maddening, depending on how much of a challenge you like. They are by far the toughest of these mini games. But I actually really like them, so there. All right. Moving on, stage 2 complete. Alright, so it looks like we've got one more, I'm guessing, to go. Okay. Yeah, so there I'm kind of showcasing how to start out. Obviously I knew I always feel like I grab one of the shapes right next to me, and then I end up running almost to the entire other side. I feel like that's usually how these puzzles start out for me. I think maybe that might be where I'm looking. I'm a start or a grab right next to me, and then I'm looking as far away as possible. So that's kind of how those go. All right, let's get back to the fun stuff. Again, it's unfortunate. I really dislike those puzzles, and unfortunately, we end up doing those, I think, more than any of the other ones. So, that's my luck. Okay, so that looked like... Oh, those were... I didn't realize that those were
Right on
fragments
schedule.
as well when we
Now we
solved
find
those.
the gate and its artifact.
There might be other things.
Now,
to
what I should have done is
discover,
gone back
too.
up.
Looks like everything's back to normal.
Because there is a wild artifact that we have to get. And actually, I don't think you can get it from down here. You have to be up top. And cool. I'll just be using a movement field to get it. Right. Yeah, I know I panned the camera up a couple of times because I know right where it's at. I just didn't know where I needed to throw Mog in here. That's not the right spot, so we're just kind of wasting time. Alright. Yeah, and I came all the way down here, and I don't think I realized that I wasn't going to be able to throw Mog to where I needed him, so we'll end up doing a little bit of backtracking. The enemies here are all, maybe, I don't know if I want to say they're all Sith. They might be, though. I don't remember seeing anything else. All of the Sith in the game are not, you're not able to capture any of them, so don't worry about that. Generally, the items that they drop are for altering your accessories. I guess, or the rest of you, maybe potentially the rest of your equipment too. But I know, like I don't know if it's like a Sith tier or something like that. So that'll take like your, say, a power wristband and make it into a delicate power wristband. Basically, it just kind of nerfs the stats a little bit, as well as reduces the accessory, like the point cost. There's our wild artifact, if it wasn't obvious already. So it's kind of hovering out there. We weren't able to actually grab that earlier because of the paradox effect. There's our wild artifact. Alright, cool. So we'll continue on. Alright. Of course, that thing had to be just standing right in my way. Didn't sneak around it. Sith tiers. Yeah, wow. Be more worthless. That's another. Man, I always feel like most of the treasure spheres in this game are just a slap in the face. Like, those Sith tiers are just super easy to farm up. I mean, we're probably already swimming. Oh, here's the Frag Leech. Frag Leech is actually a really good monster to try to capture. I'm trying to think of what ability that they've got. Let me see if I can find it here. Right. There it is. Roll Resonance. So Roll Resonance basically increases your monster's power when all of the rolls in a paradigm are the same. So like if you're using Tri-Disaster with all Ravagers, and you've got that ability on your Ravager monster, it increases its damage. So yeah, cool ability. It's really cool for commandos too. So if you're using, all three commandos with the Cerberus paradigm. I don't know how often I'm gonna end up using
You
that.
deserve a treat.
I don't think I've used it yet, but I have used Tri-Disaster quite a bit, so it's at least useful. On Ravagers for sure. But anyways, really cool ability, and Frag Leeches are, I don't know if you want to sit around here and try to grab one, go ahead. I always feel like the earlier that you get those abilities, especially if you've got a Ravager or something, or even a Commando or whatever that you're planning on using for a while, that can be a decent ability. I don't know if it's how useful it is in comparison to some other ones, but as of right now, it's pretty decent. And again, if you're using those
this was their home
paradigms.
But now they're frozen in Cocoon's crystal pillar, never to return. They slept for centuries. And then they awoke again, in our time. Though they came from Grand Pulse, they became Cocoon's saviors.
So you're saying they traveled through time to save the future?
Yeah, I guess they did in a way.
Alright, so that's some interesting insight on Fang and Vanille. Basically, they came from Grand Pulse to save Cocoon. Or that was... I think that was their focus? I think? It's tough to... I'm super rusty on my original Final Fantasy 13 lore. But anyways, then they slept in... They were in Crystal. And then they awoke and helped save Cocoon. So... Actually, they got their second focus, and they helped save Cocoon. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff with those. Oh, I kind of feel like they got a bit of a raw deal because they got chose, or basically branded twice. So, rough story for those two.
It looks like an Oracle drive.
Yeah.
Stop.
Sarah!
Lightning. Lightning. Sarah, I'm sorry.
Hey, the apologies can wait. We got a wedding to plan, right? Right? Like, come on. What do you say? Lightning, I swear to you, we'll make her happy.
I believe you.
My memories. They're real, aren't they? How can they be? The prophecy. It's been changed.
But... that's impossible.
If you change the future, you change the past.
It keeps changing?
Change is the constant.
Caius.
I have seen you. I have seen you both.
You...
What? You mean Asiris?
I am not the you know.
but...
You must understand, there are many Yules.
Caius...
Wait. I saw you. My sister was fighting you.
What are you doing here in this time?
I learned of your journey, leaping back and forth along the timeline. Yule has been watching everything you do.
No. She's been watching us?
Yes. I see you understand the significance of that. Then you must also understand that I am here for a reason. Your actions have necessitated the strictest sanctions.
Hey, hold on a second. What do you mean, sanctions?
I must protect the sanctity of the timeline.
By sanctions, he means I'm gonna kill you. Okay, buddy. Well, good luck. Kind of decent. Alright, anyways. So we find the Oracle Drive here. A bunch of nonsense happens. Caius wants to fight. Obviously hasn't chosen this battle well. The funny thing is, like, he says that he is watching this, so he should know that he's gonna get wrecked. But, oh well.
You shall pay for your crimes in blood.
Sarah! stop this, Caius. I am not going to fight you.
Times have changed. I'm not the Caius you once knew. To change history is a sin.
It's too late. The timeline has already changed.
But must we accept this, Yule?
If you change the future, you change the past. You can remold history as your heart desires.
Let's go now, before you are made to witness more. Come.
Yule.
So I think the most important thing to point out in all of that is not how crazy and nonsensical the storyline is, but the fact that Yule walks with like duck feet. Like, I don't know if that's the right term, but I don't know. Watch the cutscene. Watch how she walks. It is ridiculous. Maybe that's an actual like medical condition. I'm not really sure.
You got this.
So I don't want to make too much fun of her, but really, really sticks out. And yes, I'm a horrible person. 10 power bolts. Cool. And an artifact.
An artifact, Kupo!
What does Caius want?
No.
Alright, here is our first live trigger. How much would the artifact sell for? Let's go with that choice. That's obviously a funny answer.
I was thinking about this artifact we have. I wonder how much we'd get if we sold it.
I don't know how much it would sell for. It definitely cost us a lot. If we let it go, I doubt we could ever get it back.
Of course, of course. We would never really sell it.
Of course I wouldn't really sell it. Yeah, I mean, really though? Really? Anyways. Boy. Yeah, I mean, at this point I don't even know what to comment on storyline-wise, because it's just so, like, weird. So, whenever... I kind of get it, so whenever Yule sees a different timeline, it's bad. She loses a piece of her life. Which is why Caius doesn't want us running around chasing the future, or changing the future, sorry. And apparently somehow when you change the future, it changes the past, which I think is kind of funny because in all the time periods that we go to, I guess I'll say, I don't think anything changes. So, like, if you're in, we'll just say Brescia Ruins in 300 AF, I don't think anything you do has any effect on, say, Brescia Ruins 5 AF. So, you know, kind of whatever, buddy. If you say so. Changing the future changes the past. I don't know, in my experience, that hasn't been the case. Just saying. Anyways, alright, so I hopped up here, or flew up top, you can wait to get that graviton core later. Once you've got the floaty jump weird thing. Floaty jump. Oh wow. Anyways, the anti-grav jump, I think is the actual term for it. But why wait? We've got plenty of Gishal greens, so we might as well use some and, well, we'll feed the local wildlife. Take a save here. We're gonna have one more live trigger. And this is the last. There's actually only 2 here at Erba, so which is a nice change of pace.
She was the same. The same face, the same voice. But even so, she didn't know me at all.
You mean Yule?
Yes. Well, no questions?
Alright, so like I said, this is the second and final live trigger. This will be another opportunity for a funny answer, which is, sorry I drifted off.
Huh? What's that? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Oh, that explains why you don't have anything to ask me.
Lightning, Noel and I traveled to Erba. You wouldn't believe how much happened to us there. We found a prophecy that the Seeress of the Farseers had recorded. We saw a young girl called Yule, just like the Seeress. And we met a man named Caius, the man you were fighting in my dream. I guess what worries me the most, though, is that Noel looks sad. Sadder than I've ever seen him. And there's something else, too. The strange thing that both Caius and Yule said about the past. If you change the future, you change the past. I'm afraid of what that might mean for us. When Noel and I solved the paradox, we changed the future. Does that mean the past of Hope and the others has also changed?
Alright, so once again, I have to say I absolutely hated that choice. Saying sorry I drifted off and like completely acting like you didn't hear anything that Noel said. It's just the worst. Like, that's one of the worst conversation choices in the entire game. Just feels bad, man. Anyways, as you saw there, I did get the live trigger reward. That one's kind of unique in that you don't actually have to grab it from a treasure box, you know, afterwards. But anyways, I am out of time, so as always, hope the guide was helpful, and hope you join me for more videos. Thanks for watching.